There it is.
You fucked up, Adam. You got me up early, which means I had to chug coffee like a fucking bandit. Woo!
Like a bandit.
Woo!
Do bandits chug coffee?
Yeah, how do you think they get up so early and stay up so late to rob people on the road?
Megadads Live is a mature-rated podcast. It's for the Megadads, the Mega Moms, but not the Mega Kids. So put on those earmuffs and let's go!
I was just saying that, like, I think, like, you should do something completely different and random behind you.
Trash cans and shit.
Because you always come to your sessions looking completely different. So I feel like it would only make sense if your background was completely different every time.
Every time, yeah. I get you.
That'd be great. You don't have to put a lot of effort into it. Like, you just put, like, clothing racks back there one time, like a lineup of vibrators on that shelf back there another time.
Real talk.
Uh-huh.
You hold the fucking hours of a farmer. You get up at what? Is it 5?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Yep. Now that
and then
means
I go to bed at like 7:30.
That's what I was gonna ask. Okay, so you go to bed at 7:30. It's still light out. Like, everybody's still in the world, still doing things.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Like, what's your strategy?
I don't. So, I mean, okay, so I start work at 6 and my commute is like 45 minutes. So I get up at like quarter to 5 every day and I get ready and I haul off to work. And then the kids go to bed at 8 o'clock, which is typically when I pass out. So, like, as everybody's winding down, I pass out on the couch. Kids go to sleep. I get up, I go into bed, and then we'll throw on a show to watch or something. But basically, I'm done. I'm tapped out at 8 o'clock. And that's pretty much the only way I can function.
Hit me with the pros and cons really quick. So you're on a completely different schedule than most people in the world. I mean, let's not be too extreme about it. I mean, you're just getting up early. It's not like you're the second coming. Like, it's like you're getting up early. But, like, what do you miss? Like, what's the problems? What's the main issues?
The benefit is that I get to leave work nice and early. That is like, I'm done at 3 o'clock.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, that's very, very nice because I have to be at my kids' school by 4. And like I said, it takes me like 45 minutes to drive to and from work. So I have to be out of work at 3 o'clock. So that's awesome. To be able to just peace out and walk out the door at 3 o'clock is amazing.
You don't deal with traffic. F all that.
Basically. I mean, unless there's like construction, there's like not much at all. The con is, as you said, everybody's on a completely different schedule. And I'm going to sleep about the same time my kids are. So most parents are like, oh, once the kids are asleep, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I don't have that.
Ouch.
I am dead by the time that they're going to sleep. So, like, I can't play my horror games or watch, adult movies, like not like adult movies, but like grown-up movies, You
don't get your adult movies, Adam.
Yeah.
Poor Adam.
I get that.
Skinamax. He's like, I don't get to watch my 4 hours of hardcore at the end of the
day. I miss it. No, but I think most parents have that. Where they're like, once the kids go to bed, let's watch this drama that we really have been waiting to see, You don't have that. So I do not have that, which is a real bummer.
That sucks. I don't know if I could do it.
I've been doing it for so long. It's just the way it is right now. But, like, yeah, it sucks.
Shout out to all you megas who get up early.
Yeah, in regards to your office situation and my office situation, I got like all my fun stuff. And every time I come down here, I've got my set. It's off camera, so people can't see it. But I've got my set of Final Fantasy VII Play Arts figures, which are the really nice, tall, super articulated, super premium figures. Every time I come down here, my Tifa is knocked over.
And a spook? You got the ghosts?
Well, I don't know if it's just because that character in particular is so top heavy, or if it's You know what I'm saying? Like
It's spooky. No,
all over.
the spooky ghosts.
Well, it's either that or it's my cat. My cat might just have a real
No.
chubby Fertifa.
No, you have you need an exorcism.
You're going with ghosts.
Immediately. Yeah, I'm
Because
going with the powers of Satan are compelling your Etifa to bend
it's
over.
October. It's creepy Halloween-y time. Halloween-y time? Did I say weenie?
I don't think you can say Halloweeny anymore. I think that's offensive to the weenie people.
Do people say weenie anymore?
I haven't heard the word weenie in, I don't know, like a couple decades, I guess.
I think we should bring weenie back. Anytime you hear me say weenie this episode, you get a point.
All right.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm up early for the first time in a long time, trying to record Megadads live with you. I'm
Ass
pumped.
crackathon.
Oh yeah, like on September 1st, our Halloween decorations went up. September 1st. My wife had a really cute thing where she made like fake ghost things, like, you know, like 3 little ghosts, and they're all like hanging out, and they have like sunglasses on, and they're like, "Let's go, ghouls!" Like,
This
and
is
it's
in the
like
yard?
all pink. Yeah, she did this whole thing. I'll have to put some in the Megadad's Discord. I'll show people photos of what she has going on. But we were the first on the whole neighborhood to have some Halloween decorations up.
I would
Yep.
think so. So you guys
sure.
are big into
Not
Halloween.
really. She's one of those great like moms, this partner who does all the extras, and she just like got into it. She loves fall.
Yeah.
She likes Halloween, but
Uh-huh.
she's just like, oh, I got a creative idea. You know, I got inspired from Instagram or wherever people are getting inspired from. And
Right.
she was like, let me just do this really quick. And she just did it. And it was awesome. People are like stopping their cars to like look and take pictures and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. When do the Halloween decorations go up? Or wait, you don't do any of the actual decorating, do you?
Well, no, this is actually the one thing that I do. Is the Halloween stuff.
Breaking news.
But
Adam got off his ass.
there's, well, just wait for it. There is kind of an unwritten rule in this house where Halloween decorations only come up like a day or two before Halloween. So
Whoa.
we'll do up the yard. We've got like the gravestones, and we've got a whole bunch of like battery operated little candles, like little what do they call them, like votive candles that
Mhm.
flicker and stuff. We got bones and spider webs. We got tons of stuff to decorate the yard with, but it only goes up right before trick or treat time, and then it comes down literally the next day. So
What the why are you?
it is.
I don't
There
understand.
there is something. I feel like with Christmas, you can have that up for a long time, but I don't know. There's something in my brain where it's like I don't want a cemetery in my yard for like a month and a half. Right? Maybe it's my own aversion to discussing death, the thought of the
Yeah.
afterlife, or whatever it is. But I really enjoy Halloween. I like Halloween a lot. I mean, I'm kind of like the Megadad's horror guy, right? But for
Yeah.
some reason, I don't want that shit in my yard for more than like a couple of days. I'll do it up for Halloween. We'll have fucking fog and ghosts and shit all over the place. One year I actually went out I don't know if I've told this story before. One year I went out into the yard dressed up as Slender Man.
Awesome.
I have the full, like the bodysuit, the tux, like the whole thing. And I stood in my yard, kind like in the middle of my yard, completely still. Like I looked like a prop. Because with
Nice.
the full bodysuit, there's no eye holes, there's no nothing. So you could very well be like a mannequin.
Yeah.
And I would stand static in my yard as people would come up, and I could hear them talking about me, like, is that thing real? Is that? And I'd stay totally still. As soon as they would pass me to knock on the door, I would turn around and I would walk closer to them so that they couldn't hear me, they couldn't see me. And then after they got their candy and turned around, I'd be right there. And I would scare the living piss out of all the neighborhood kids. And it was probably my favorite Halloween that I've ever had, because it was in the peak of the Slender Man game and the Slender Man hype. And it was just the perfect way to scare the shit out of people in a very subtle, creepy way. Like people remember that year in my neighborhood, right?
No,
So yeah, I love Halloween and I like to do it up, but it's a limited window in my house.
You love fucking up kids' future.
I
like
love
totally breaking their psyche. Like that's a really good story. I'm glad you put in that extra effort, Mr. Slenderman. Nice. Okay.
I gotta like the Slenderman. We're gonna do a new segment here on Megadad's Live, Antonio.
I love it.
At the first episode of every month, we're gonna discuss the parent of the month. I'm gonna pull a headline from the news, and we are going to crown this person the Megadad's Parent of the Month. So this will be our October Megadad's Parent of the Month, the very first one. This is very exciting. This story comes from the Today Show, and it reads, a pregnant woman was ticketed for driving in the carpool lane twice, claiming that her unborn baby was the passenger. Pregnant Brandy Batone was ticketed for driving in the carpool lane in June. She told the police officer that her unborn child was actually the second passenger. The Texas Penal Code defines an individual as a human being who is alive, including an unborn child. So this chick, like, milked the system to fast track her commute to work because she's like, hey, you say this is a person. Mm-hmm. The carpool lane defines that two or more people. So she used her unborn child as her carpool buddy.
I'm
didn't quite work.
1,000%.
She did get ticketed.
Are you kidding me?
They actually ticketed her, so
you
she
got
couldn't
the wrong
pull it
lawyer,
off.
man.
I give this chick kudos for like.
I'm on her side.
That's clever, right?
I'm on her side 1,000%. I mean, not only is she technically right based on the Texas state law, like you'd have to pull this off in Texas where they're defining it like that,
right.
And then, but I'm on her side because, like, you know, if you're pregnant, sometimes you got to get where you're going. You have to go to the bathroom unexpectedly. All these things. I would say give them props. They're hauling around a being. I don't care if it's their first couple weeks, you know, being pregnant. Like, let them do what they're gonna do. They deserve props. They deserve special treatment. Go ahead and do it. It's like giving up the seat on the bus. Like, that's her seat on the bus. Like, give her the lane. Who cares?
I've never carpooled with a coworker, but I can only imagine how, like, I mean, people in general are just super annoying, right? So, like, you've got a lot to deal with when there's somebody in the car, but to have your carpool person literally inside you, you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot. Like, give this chick the carpool lane. Who's it gonna hurt? For real, who's it gonna hurt? I don't know about in Chicago. You've talked about how terrible your traffic is in Chicago, but here, like, my carpool lane just whizzes by. You ain't hurting nobody. Let the pregnant lady go.
We don't have a carpool lane. We have people on motorcycles who will just ride the edge super fast or zoom through the traffic. And I'm like, you're putting your whole life at risk to save, you know, probably like 20 minutes or whatever, but like zooming in between cars. But very interesting situation.
Congratulations, Brandy. You are sharp as a tack.
I thought this was going to be an ironic, like, parent of the month where you're like just super shitty. But I kind of like this. It's like you're doing a good job. You deserve the kudos. Okay.
Here's the deal. This came up because I found a super shitty one. So since I've got it pulled up right here,
please,
I'll go with my plan B. This was my original thought before I decided.
Best and then the worst. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Okay, maybe we'll go with that route. Okay. Arkansas couple arrested for allegedly trying to trade baby for a 6-pack of beer and cash. And then this got super dark, so this is why I decided to skip it. Yeah. But there's this trailer couple in Arkansas who signed a contract, you know, trailer park contract, which is probably, you know, on a back of a flattened like cereal box or something. They were going to sell their 2-month-old baby for a 6-pack of beer and $1,000 cashier's check.
$1,000.
This is.
See, I don't understand it because 2 months, like, you know, they're still like cute and everything. You know what I mean? They're so small and adorable. Like parents try to sell teenager for $6 is like something that I think you would hear and be like, I get it.
I get
But,
it. Like, I
but
get
not
it.
a baby. Like that baby's brand new. You hardly even
Mhm.
got to test out the tires on that baby.
Right.
You gotta drive that baby around.
There's
and-
got to be a grace period for a new
So,
child.
Does it
right?
say what type of beer by any chance? Like if it's just some Coors, like a six-pack.
I didn't get a brand. I mean, it's an Arkansas trailer park, so it might have been homemade for all I know.
Some Pabst Blue Ribbon 6-pack. Like I don't understand this list of demands. Like you.
Like, who
I-
negotiated the terms?
Yeah, it's like we want 12 beers, and they're like, will you take 6? It's like, what the fuck? These are terrible parents. You gotta have more respect for life, for your children's life, than some Pabst Blue Ribbon 6-pack. And then one of the beers is missing, and it's just like you end up they hand them 5 beers.
In a
They're
world
like, this wasn't part of the deal.
In a world of Arkansas baby trading, be a brandy carpool mom, right?
Damn. Yeah, seriously. Do the work.
Do the work. Let's get into the headlines because we've got some stuff to talk about. Tokyo Game Show just happened, and right beforehand, Sony had a state of play. And we were talking about this in the last couple episodes where it's like, well, PlayStation is coming back to the Tokyo Game Show for the first time in years. They must have something to talk about. And lo and behold, Sony put out a message that we're going to have a state of play. Stay tuned. And my first thought was, dude, where the hell is the showcase? Where is the PlayStation showcase? For those of you who may not be familiar, Sony kind of does this 2 different ways. They have their state of plays, which are usually a focus more on partners and third-party stuff like that. And then they have their first-party showcase, which is a bigger, grand, hour-long E3 level extravaganza. And they have not had one of those this year. Their pre-E3, their pre-summer Game Fest presentation was a state of play, was not a showcase. This is a state of play, not a showcase. I don't know where this thing is. They're clearly holding back a lot, but this state of play had a lot of really good content. And I pulled a couple things that I was interested in. We're not going to go through the whole bullet point because there was quite a bit. But I want to talk about 3 that I was really interested in, and then I'll get your thoughts on those. And if you wanted to add any, we'll discuss them as well. First one I want to talk about is Fear the Spotlight. Now, this is from Blumhouse, which is a movie studio. These guys make really good horror films, and they're getting into the world of video game publishing, kind of like an Annapurna, R.I.P. Annapurna. And their first game is Fear the Spotlight, which is a PS1 32-bit style psychological spiritual horror title. Now, as I'm watching this state of play with my son Elliot, he is looking at the aesthetics and saying, "This looks terrible, Dad. This looks awful." And here's me sitting right next to him, like, "Dude, this looks rad. This looks like Silent Hill, chunky polygonal horror, spooky ghosts and stuff. It's got this kind of The Grudge, The Ring aesthetic where it shows like the ghost with the long hair in front of her face. I am digging the vibes of Fear the Spotlight. It actually launches this month, right before Halloween. I thought this looked super cool. Did you see this trailer?
I'm looking at it, and I just got to give them complete kudos for going for it.
Right?
Because you always talk about nostalgia, and a lot of people are taking the route saying, okay, let's take what was old, give it a fresh coat of paint, and that's how we're going to approach it. Where they're like, okay, what if we have the same visuals that people were used to? The chunky, blocky fire effects and smoke.
Yeah.
And like everything has jaggies on it, and let's just go for it. Like that is bold, and I like it, and I think it gets the vibe out there. And now they just have to nail a balance in the gameplay where if it's like lag and tank controls type thing, like the frames, like it's like, okay, how much are
Where's the
people
line?
gonna tolerate it? Yeah, where's the line? So I hope they nail it. This this looks awesome. It looks really
Yeah,
good.
it's like a supernatural seance that these kids are holding in a school, and there's like this creepy backstory about all the supernatural happenings and the hauntings and stuff like that. And I don't know. I would imagine this is probably going to be like a budget title, maybe like $20, something like that. But I'm in for that, especially in spooky season. This looks totally my jam. The next game I want to talk about is Arch-Age. I think I'm saying it. Arc-Age? Maybe Arc-Age.
Arc-Age, yeah.
Arc-Age Chronicles, which to my understanding is actually a sequel in this series. But this is a game that looks to be a wide, sprawling, third-person action adventure in the medieval vein. Lots of really cool bosses and character classes. You can see like barbarians and archers fighting dragons and beasts and trolls and orcs. What I thought was really interesting is apparently this thing has like a severe online multiplayer component. So it looks like the combat is kind of like what the upcoming Dragon Age, Arc-Age and Dragon Age, looks like Dragon Age, where you've got like your band of heroes fighting these huge majestic beasts, but those are apparently all going to be players. So it looks really cool. I've never heard of this series before, but I did a little research on the PlayStation blog, and apparently this is the second game in this series, and the visuals are fantastic. They're bright and colorful, but yet everything's got like a familiar D&D looking aesthetic to it. I was really impressed with this. Did you check this one out?
Yes, when I saw the like screenshots, just looking at it in motion now, I was impressed. I'm like, this is the type of game that I would go for, where it's kind of like action, kind of fantasy. It has a really good style, like a little take. You can only do, I would say you have a lot of possibilities actually with how you do monsters, how you do medieval fantasy, how you do, the swords and shields and magic. And this one caught my eye, which is something because, it's all been done a million times, but to do it in a style that's going to be like visually interesting, it's all at once, like it looks impressive, period. But it's definitely also the gameplay that I'm looking for, where it's kind of like action, lots of things on screen moving, and then the online component or the playing with others is like, I didn't realize that that's what the type of game it was going to be. So I'm very, very intrigued.
Yeah, I think a lot of these RPG multiplayer games tend to lean way into the RPG stuff, which takes me out as more of a casual player. So like a Diablo or a Baldur's Gate or even Final Fantasy 14, there's so many mechanics and so many menus and all this stuff. This game looks like it's pared back to something that I like to do, which is just like that pick up and play action adventure third person stuff, but it then injects that multiplayer component. So I think it's really cool. I think it's one to keep an eye on. And the final game that I have to talk about, of course, is Ghost of Yotai, which is the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. This popped up on screen, and me and Elliot lost our minds.
Everyone did.
Everyone did. Nobody saw this coming, especially since it wasn't the showcase. I assumed they'd reserve this for like their big knockout, when they show Wolverine and all the other stuff that they've got in the hopper. But they surprised us with Ghost of Yotai out of nowhere, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. It's an all-new protagonist, takes place 300 years later in a completely new region of Japan. New story, new motivations, new mechanics. You can see that she's got like, it's a female protagonist. She's got like a wolf companion. She's got a guitar or a sitar on her back, whereas in the old game, Jin Sakai had like the flute, so there's like a new musical instrument. A lot of familiarity. The beautiful sweeping vistas, swordplay is front and center, of course, and just the ambiance, the style of this franchise is present, and it looks fantastic on PS5. I am surprised that this is turning out to be an anthology series. I was really expecting a direct continuation to Ghost of Tsushima, but I'm kind of excited by that. I think that's an interesting way to go, that every game you're going to have a new origin story, perhaps a new era and a new location in Japan. Oh man, I am so jazzed. And it says it's coming next year. I don't believe that because it's a PlayStation first party title, and they are always subject to delays. But for now, they're saying 2025 for Ghost of Yotai. What did you think of this?
They need something for the PS5 Pro, right? Some reason for people to gravitate toward that hardware for the price, the premium price that they're asking.
Mhm.
The Ghost series now, I'll call it, is something that, like on the Xbox side, it not being available. This is why you're a PlayStation person. This is the type of quality and artistry that like people like Sucker Punch and these developers have like just been honing and they're 2-3 steps above anything else you're gonna be able to get on Xbox. So I'm 100% jealous about this being on PlayStation. I'm anxious to see, like, there's the usual, like, there's some shitty incel like pushback. It's like, oh, it's a female protagonist. Like, this whole vein of like negativity around gaming is just insane and ludicrous at this point, especially when you look at the game for how lauded it was for Ghost of Tsushima, and to say anything negative after seeing what they're pulling off. It's like, guess what? Out of left field, another game, whole new, new stuff, but also like in the Ghost series, like, you're insane if you're ragging on something like this, especially this early. I think it's gonna hit with people. I trust Sucker Punch to deliver, just like they have in the past, and you can do that when you have that type of pedigree. It looks great. I can't wait. I hope that they introduce the multiplayer component. What was the Ghost of Tsushima, like, where they started building out the game
Legends,
mode? Yeah, so I hope that they do that. They may do the same thing where they're like, oh, we're focused on the single player experience, and then later on, to like give it more legs, they come out with the DLC and the extra modes. So it would make sense for them to do that. But I really was more intrigued too, because I am a multiplayer person, with that mode. So when I finally go back and I'm able to experience that, now I have this to look forward to as well. You almost got me, Adam. You almost got me on this damn PlayStation ecosystem. I'm this close to earning enough money, turning tricks under the bridge. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saving up my money, giving my BJs. So,
well, I want to take a step back really quick, because you mentioned that PS5 Pro, and they did announce the PS5 Pro, and everybody was like, "You're out of your goddamn minds," because this thing is super expensive. It's unnecessary. It's like,
and you pre-ordered it.
I did not. I will not be getting a PS5 Pro. I won't. But I think it is kind of like diabolical genius how they announced this PS5 Pro. They just kind of like dropped it out. They knew they were going to get a bunch of blowback. And what do? The week later is they announced their 30th anniversary limited edition skin that has the PlayStation 1 colors, and it's super gorgeous. And everybody was like, ooh, that Pro looks really good. Like, oh man, I really want that limited edition thing. All of a sudden, nobody's talking about the price tag of it. They're talking about, how am I gonna get my hands on this limited thing before it goes away? And then a week after that, after people are, buzzing about their limited offer console that they're never gonna get, then they come out and they drop this game. And now people are talking about how good this game's gonna look. And they've just kind of like inched the conversation away from the price tag in just this sick corporate way that is like, it's kind of genius, but also kind of slimy, where it's like, everybody knows that this Pro is way too much money and not enough improvement over the base system, but yet somehow Sony has managed to pivot the conversation away from the price tag now, and I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm not going to get one, but I have to throw some props their way, because it was a masterful way to kind of manipulate the conversation, right?
Yep.
Did you see anything from this state of play that you wanted to discuss before we moved on to the game you've been playing?
So for PlayStation, just in general, you know, the Horizon Zero Dawn remastered, just to like note about that, my initial reaction was why, and a lot of people's were, right? But you have PlayStation completely committed to reselling you everything. It doesn't matter if it needs it. They're gonna do the remasters. They're going to sell, I bet. You know, they have the interesting like upgrade path. It's like $10 and you'll get the extra enhancements. And again, this is all to serve the PlayStation 5 Pro model and trying to give people any incentive to drop a couple more $100 to get like have you seen the comparisons that they're trying to do? They're struggling to try to find areas of the screen in the background and zoom in on the foliage. It's like, well, you see the stuff that would normally be obscured by depth of field. Now it's super sharp, and we're like, cool.
Like, these motherfuckers don't realize that I'm 44 years old and I can't see anything across the room to begin with.
Yeah, I get it. No, yeah. So it's just something to say is it is an ecosystem that is going to just keep churning out for people, and as long as you continue to buy it and invest, that's what they're going to do. And that it's not going to stop here. Like, there's going to be a Horizon Forbidden West remaster at some point. I mean, it's going to happen, and it's ridiculous, but that's what you are with the PlayStation gamers.
That's what they do. All right, let's discuss a game that you have been playing. It's one that you actually, I believe you put this on your most anticipated games of the year.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have you say the title of it to kick it to the game, because I'm reading this and it's gobbledygook.
Metaphor Refantazio. Okay. Metaphor Refantazio is an RPG developed by Studio Zero and published by Atlus. So it's scheduled to be released on October 11th for PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox Series X and S in celebration of Atlus's 35th anniversary. So Metaphor Refantazio came out of the it was announced right around the Tokyo Game Show, which was nice. It has a prologue demo that gives you a huge chunk of the game. It's like 4 to 6 hours.
I've heard it's
for
pretty
you to
massive,
play from the beginning all the way through, and your save data will carry over. This was unexpected. I was hyped for this game because it was from the makers of the Persona series, you know, from published by Atlus. What's interesting though is I walked away more hyped than I could possibly have imagined. Like, I started telling people about this immediately. Like, I'm telling you, I'm telling anybody that I know who's a Persona fan at all. My challenge right now is to bring back the hype to more realistic levels, because I'm telling you right now that I got so I'm just gushing over like the game, and I think I need to dial it back because I don't want to seem like I'm just out of left field with it.
Let it fly, man.
The reasoning is you like Persona for certain things, like, you know, the art style, like everything is detailed and stylized, you know, from the menus, amazing music, you know, good combat. This game excels in every way over Persona that you could think of. Whereas number one is this: it's set in this interesting take on a fantasy world. So it's gonna be magic, swords and shields, political intrigue, and there's like different races, like what would be amount to like elves and like little like kind of demon people, in the sense that they have like horns on their head. Like, there's different races called tribes in the game. So you have this magical fantasy storytelling, which I wasn't so sure about, because I'm like, Persona to me is that whole like you're half in the world of strange fantasy and half of it is like living a school life as a school kid and real world setting, and there's like duality. So they're kind of like all in this one world where it's like, no, the magic is here. This is what we're dealing with, from the fantasy aspect, and everything is fantasy, and it's so compelling. Like I think we mentioned earlier in the episode, you could do fantasy any number of ways, but their spin and their take of here's why magic exists, here's like why monsters exist, here's their explanations for everything. They don't overlook anything and just assume. They world build every part of it, and then the characters are incredibly voice acted. I mean, incredibly voice acted. I don't sit there and think about voice acting very much, but as they're delivering the lines, from the opening cutscene to everything else that happens, like, you immediately get a sense of the characters. It's like they're in a play, like a stage play or a movie, that is just, they're giving every line like with full like emphasis. And then when you deliver things that way, you care. So if this person is scared and they're talking like they're scared and they really go for it, you're like, oh, you kind of feel the weight of that. Where in Persona, like if you look at Persona 5 or whatever, it's like, oh my god, I can't
a little
believe
melodramatic.
I can't believe monsters are here. And it's just like that, just, it doesn't hit the same way. It where it's like, let's say your character is downed and they're like, Joker, no, like you're getting hit. Like, that is just different than what's going on here. Here, it's all like they're like pleading for their lives. Like there's people getting like murdered. The mature themes are like insane. Like there's racism. It talks about death and war. It talks about like, it gets meta, and the game is talking about like the idea of a fantasy world. It's like, would in a world where things are different than it is here be cool? And there's like a storybook, and they're like going in and they're like reflecting on like our world, and they're like, what if there wasn't magic? Like, what if everybody just lived together and there was just one race of people? Like, it's like it's just wild. The combat was the one sticking point to me where I was like, okay, I didn't like it at first. I only played the first 3 hours, and you barely get into like the story setup, the cutscenes, the art style. Like, they're showcasing everything. They're building up like in the intro of any game. And then we got to the combat, and I was like, okay, is this good? And in the beginning, they only let you control your character and not the party members. I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel right. I hope they don't keep this up. Sure enough, Adam, at the 11th hour, right at my like start of the 3rd hour of play, they let you loose, and they have the personas, which are called archetypes in this world. And now your party members, you control them. Great. Because I'm playing Persona 3 Reload right now, which took control away a lot of it, and you were just like, as your main character, you had access to multiple personas, basically more spells, and you were like the crux of the team. In this one, you have your party members who can have basically multiple personas, and you get to choose which ones they dip into. So like, this guy could be having the mage persona, which is just really cool, has a list of spells, or this one could be like the more frontline warrior, and you can mix and match. It reminded me of like the spear grid system in Final Fantasy X, where you can take a character and customize them to be whatever you want to be. They don't have to be the tank. Yeah. They can be like, you can have like multiple people with magic users attached. And I was like, okay, what is all this for? I'm like, this is good. I like that you have that flexibility, right? But why? Then you get into the dungeon, you're fighting the monsters, and the monsters have like weaknesses and points and stuff, but they mix up the monster types where you have to like, it would be really beneficial if you had this setup. And then they have other monsters in the same dungeon where it's like, you would be really beneficial if you had this setup. So then you're like, there's like a reason to like choose the mix and match. And they have this system where, similar to the online components in Persona, you pull up the menu and it's like, here's the party makeup that other people tackled this dungeon with. Do you want 2 mages and a thing? Do you want to copy their setup and just in one button just adopt somebody, and then it says what difficulty they're playing on. So what I think is going to happen is when it's a hard difficulty, you could say, man, I play on hard, this person use this makeup to play in a more difficult level, so I should probably do that if I want to make it through hard mode. It was just like wild.
Interesting.
The art style is just, it's hard to describe. The music is just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
The thing that stands out to me looking at all these trailers and videos is apparently you can skateboard on a sword. There's like a skateboard mechanic where you jump on your sword and your sword flies around. It's kind of like the hoverboard from Back to the Future Part 2. So that's an instant sell. This is a multi-platform game. Is the demo available on all platforms right now?
I downloaded it on my Xbox as well as on PC. I played it on PC. It is available. Jump in. I love that this has a demo because now people are going to be able to experience it.
Yeah.
I'm calling it now. The hype is going to just go. I didn't think that a game could be more engaging than Persona. Have an art style that was going to one-up Persona. The music is, it's like, it's hard to describe. It's like chanting with like upbeat, like kind of fantasy. But like super energetic. It's like a movie score in like different areas. Like it's just wild. I am overhyping it, I bet. So pull back your expectations like 2 steps, but also go try the demo because this is some of the best Persona like RPGs. Like this is gonna stand toe to toe with Persona 5 for sure. It's amazing what they're doing. I'm very impressed.
I know you are a Persona super fan. I played Persona 5 and I really enjoyed it, but I think I'm in the minority where, as you said, that game is split in 2 halves.
Yep.
I really, really, really enjoyed the life stuff.
Really?
Running through the modern day Tokyo and doing all the jobs and hanging out with your friends and all that stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I liked the dungeon combat stuff, but I thought the world was just too weird. The demons and all that stuff was just, it wasn't enough to like turn me off the game, but I greatly preferred the just running around with your friends kind of stuff. Does this game have a better balance between like amongst all the stuff, or does it jar you back and forth?
It's hard to say. So what's interesting is there is the bond system where it says you're going to be able to invest in this relationship or this one, and everything has meters to it, and you have skills that you can invest in, and it has a meter, and you could like choose where to invest your time, and it has a day-night system or calendar system with time passing, and time is going to be an element, but it's so early in the game it's hard because you are having relationships, but also kind of like in the middle of political intrigue, and there's like a war, there's going to be fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm wondering when they're going to have time to do the bonds. Is it just going to be like a campfire at night like system? Like I don't see these people stopping to go to the movie theater and going to eat ramen. So I'm like, how are they going to do it when there doesn't seem to be any story-wise, any like opportunity for socializing and downtime? So I'm
sure it's going to be like a 500-hour game, right?
I'm sure, but I have no idea how they're going to do that part, because that was the whole thing. It's like you have hours to spend and invest in the social aspect in the Persona series. Go spend that time, and then you go and you focus on the combat. But now I don't know where that differentiation goes. So it's going to be very interesting. Part of the quirkiness was like, hey, we're going to go do karaoke, and like, we're going to go like play this game. And like, it just seemed like that was really cool and quirky. And I don't know if they're going to have the opportunity to do all of that. It just, there's a serious tone to this one, and I really want you to play the demo and listen to the music, see the menus. I didn't think they would be able to improve on the menus and like the stylized
Just the
stuff.
style. Like they got such a great style. Yeah.
It's all like Roman text, Old English text, like in this one, and brushstrokes and scratches. And at first I was like, this is a little overdone, but the more I saw, the more negative is the overworld. You like kind of move always at hyper speed. Like it was hard for me to, even at the walking where you're only hitting the stick a little bit and you're hitting the modifier key, I feel like the overworld is just, it's beautiful, but it's more like in Persona where it's like everything's basically a hallway and you're going through the dungeons and you're on a fairly linear path, and that's the only thing they haven't shied away from. Everything is just corridor to room to like slight path, and that's one thing where I didn't see any innovation. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. It's, oh, I see an enemy, I can slash them a little bit, then we can start fighting turn-based. It was a weird system. So yeah, there's so much to talk about with the game in just the couple hours that I spent with it, but we'll obviously do a full review and discussion. And I need to bribe you to play this game when it comes out completely. Just play the demo.
I'll play the demo. I absolutely will. All right, that's Metaphor Refantazio.
Yeah.
And it's more Atlus weirdness. Well, that sound is the caboose, which means it's the end of this episode of Mega Dads Live, where we give you a recommendation for something outside of the world of video games that we want to share with you. Mine is video game adjacent. Part of the state of play was that they announced that the soundtrack for Stellar Blade was available on streaming platforms. I talked about this game last episode of Mega Dads Live, and I feel really bad that I failed to emphasize the amazing soundtrack. I think I touched on it a little bit, but the soundtrack of this game is fantastic, and you just triggered my thinking on this by talking about Metaphor Refantazio's soundtrack. Stellar Blade has this really cool, like J-pop, jazz kind of lo-fi music selection, and I would encourage anybody who's sort of interested in this game, stream the soundtrack, because man, the vibes on those tunes it's just really, really good. So
nice.
I recommend the Stellar Blade soundtrack. What's up your caboose?
There's a collab going on right now. As you know, Linkin Park, a few of the original members have rebooted the band, and they're back with an all-new female singer and all that. And it's great, right? People who like Linkin Park are fans. Now, surprisingly, there's a collab out where they've released a song and music video collaborating with the League of Legends World Championship, so esports.
Really?
For the game League of Legends. Yes, it's called Heavy as the Crown, is the title of the official music video for Linkin Park. And the visuals are like an anime style, like almost like cutscenes of like League of Legends action, with the esports players are like in there as well, kind of like fighting and stuff, and the band. So you have Linkin Park in anime form. That's jamming awesome. The best part of it all is the actual song. You will love it. It's some of the best that I've heard from the new stuff. It rocks. If you liked Ed at all, like the new stuff, the Heavy as the Crown, it rocks. You gotta listen to the song, watch the video. It's pretty cool. Linkin Park Heavy as the Crown collab with League of Legends World Championship. Check it out.
Hell yeah. I'm so looking forward to that new album. I love The Emptiness Machine, the debut track. I'm gonna listen to this because shit's gonna be on loop in my house. Absolutely. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode of Mega Dads Live. Don't forget, we are up to our balls in our Extra Life campaign. So we are looking for people to pledge and donate to Children's Miracle Network hospitals. We have all sorts of game codes that we're giving away. We've partnered with all sorts of folks like Zen Studios, who make the Pinball FX games. We got all sorts of pinball tables to give away. The Delvin Cox Experience podcast has donated some game codes our way. We have a partnership that we're not revealing the prizes yet, but Turtle Beach is on board with our Extra Life campaign, so we're going to be giving some prizes away from those folks as well. We really need your help. We need your support to help us raise as much money as possible. for kids and families in need. So please go to extra-life.org/team/megadads and join in the fight and join us for our 24-hour long live stream. I'm not committing to 24 hours.
You're not going to make
yet.
it 24 hours.
We're going to do as much as we can on November 2nd right here on youtube.com/megadads. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.